All right, everybody, we are on day 5. Can you believe it? We are through one full work week of developing our NES games, and we're already this far. This is super exciting. Today, we are going to finish out sort of our win/lose stuff that we're going to try and do. And at that point, I got to tell you guys, guess what? We have a game. It's a simple game, but it will be a game that we can actually have a lot of fun with. So we got a lot to do, though, so I want to make sure that we can cram this in as close to 20 minutes as we can. The first thing that we want to do is test our game. Let's make sure that everything's working the way we thought. I removed all the monsters. I made it so if I collect all of the diamonds, I go to the next screen, or I could hit the warp either way, but I'm making it so if I collect all the diamonds, I go to the next screen. Awesome. So that works. And right now, if I hit Control T on the emulator and that resets, if I hit the spikes here, I die and it resets the game. Okay, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have a cool looking thing that when I hit the spikes, it goes to a you lose. And if I get to the last level, maybe I get to a tile and it's you win. And I actually want to start with the start screen. So they're going to be very simple for right now. But let's do that first. Now, I'm going to show you the problem that we're going to run into in creating a start screen. I can go to my overworld and I'm going to just click on the very next screen for a second. And I want to create a start screen with letters and numbers and stuff like that. And so first, what I need to do is I can change my tile sets here. So if I want to load up a different tile set, they're all empty right now, but this is where I can go. If I click on this button right here, tile layout, that's where I can change the tile sets that I'm using for this screen. I want to make a second tile set that features letters and numbers. I'm going to go to my pixel editor. Instead of using BCK-CHR00, I'm going to open up BCK-CHR01. And I want to look at my HUD, my letters and numbers for my HUD. I'm going to add a tab. If I go to pixel editor, add tab, click on that tab, open up my HUD. Awesome. I'm going to select what's in my HUD, Control C, go over to this BCK-CHR01, Control Shift V, that'll paste it in the top left corner. I'm going to hit save. Awesome. So now I've got a tile set with letters and numbers that I should be able to draw on a screen with, but I've got a problem. So I'll go to my overworld, I'll go to my screen, I'll go to my tile layout, I will go to where it says main tile set, and I'll choose that second tile set. Everything is looking perfect, except for one thing. These tiles are in 16 by 16 pixel area, and these tiles are all on an 8 by 8 square. So I can't get individual letters. I want to press start. I try to get the P. I can't get just the P. I get O and P and exclamation point and comma. I can't get just the P. So what I need to do is I can't do it this way. There's two things I could do. I could literally press start as a graphic here and then drop it in here. I could do that. I'm going to right click on this screen. I'm going to delete it. That's not the way I'm going to do it. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this funky mode called Advanced Map Properties. I go to Map, Advanced Map Properties. What I can do is, because the NES is capable of seeing tiles on an 8 pixel by 8 pixel level, we can actually put it in a mode that sees that. Now, why doesn't NES Maker do this by default? Think about it. Color definitions, the smallest sort of area that you can change is a 16 by 16 area. Collisions, the smallest area you can change is a 16 by 16 area. And if you want to use 8 by 8 pixel tiles, it's going to take you 4 tiles to represent what one tile would represent as far as the actual offset from the tile set to create. So it takes 4 times the amount of data to make a screen made out of 8 by 8 pixel tiles, and it doesn't get you a lot of benefit because the color restraints and the collision restraints anyway. So we don't usually want to use it, but sometimes we do, like when we're making a start screen and want to use letters to say things. So what I could do is I could choose a row, and I'm going to choose in this first column, bottom row. That's these screens right here. I'm going to make these into 8 by 8 screens, and to represent it properly, watch, they're going to turn into 8 what looks like large screens. Now, they're not actually larger screens. They're the exact same size screens, but they have twice the amount of depth in each direction. So that means I have 4 times more data. I have 1/4 the amount of screens that I could use, and that's why 14 screens turned into 1. I'm going to click on this first one, and now if I go into tile layout, and I go into the second tile set, now I can get individual tiles. So I'm going to this last tile set. I could go to individual tiles, and I could finally press start. PRESSS. I do know how to spell it. I don't have to say it out loud. I know you guys know how to spell it. But at the same time, I got to fill this space with something. So I'm just going to keep talking about what I'm doing. There, now I've got something that says press start. Super cool. Oh, just had to tweak something right there. What I want to do now is I want this to be my starting screen. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to place my player here. The problem is I don't want to see my player here. What I could do is if I don't want to see sprites, if I just want to see background tiles, I can go to screen info and I could hide sprites. And what that'll do is when I test my game, it'll hide the sprites. The other thing is I don't want any of my movements to work. I don't want my player to move around the screen. So if I looked at my input editor, these all happen in the main game state. Well, if I put this screen in a different game state, that means that none of these scripts will happen. So if I look at my game, look at my screen, I can see it's in the main game state. If I put it in start screen, now none of those things will happen. So if I look at my input editor, all these only happen if this is in the main game state. Now things that I put in the start screen will happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my input scripts. If it's not already open, I'm going to open up scripts, open up input scripts, click on input scripts. We have a script that is called start game with new continue points. I'm going to find that. It's in base 4.5 game. And then if I look at input scripts, I'm going to see start game with new continue points. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to add the simple reset because we're going to use that in a minute. So I should have start game with new continue points and simple reset. I'm going to go to my input editor and I'm going to say, if I am on the start screen and I press start, I want to run start game with new continue points, add the script, bam. The last thing I got to do is over here, this, I need to know, okay, when I start, it's going to look at this warp out position. The good news is if I'm starting on screen 0, 0, it's already set to that. If I want this to take me to any other screen on the map, I need to set this column as to what screen I want to go to. Not this first row. I can't not express that enough. This row we'll never use from here that I can think of. The second row, what screen do I want to warp out to? This is going to take me here. Come on. Sorry, my computer's bugging out a little bit. Okay. This is going to take me here. And what I need to do is I need to say, since this isn't my starting screen anymore, I need to right click and I need to set warp in location because I'm going to warp to this screen instead of starting on this screen. So if I look at my screen info now, that just set this stuff right here. That's where I'm going to warp in. This is where I'm going to warp out. If I hit the warp, we'll get the coins. I'm going to go to 1, 0. Okay. So just making sure everyone understands what's going on. What should happen now is if I am on the start screen and I press start, it should go to that first screen. So I'm going to do that. And I am now on the start screen. I press the start button and I go to my first screen and awesome, we have a start screen. But really what I wanted is a lose and a win screen. So let's talk about a lose screen right now. We've got to set up 2 different scripts to warp to a lose screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up that lose screen. I'm going to go overworld, go to the second screen. And again, I'm going to tile layout and change that to this tile set and change my sub palette. And I'm just going to write you lose Y O U and then L. I can't see the letters. Sorry, I got a very small screen here. L O S E. Awesome. You lose. I could even do an exclamation point if I wanted to. Now I'm going to choose the game state this is going to be. I'm going to choose a win screen, and the reason I'm going to do that is because win and lose are going to behave exactly the same way. When I get to those screens, it's going to show me that message. I press a button, and the game is going to restart. So not really worried. I'm going to make that a win screen type. It means it's not a main game. It's not a start screen. It's something else. And so when I go to input scripts, I can say, when I go to my input editor, I can say on my win screen, when I press the start button, I want to run simple reset. Add that to script. So it's only going to happen on the win screen. So if I'm on the lose screen and I press start, it'll reset the game. All right, but how do I get there? And this is the tricky part. Well, I want to warp there, and I want to warp there when I die. And there's 2 possible times that I could die: when I hit a tile or when I run into a monster. And I need to change them both. Let's start with the tile. So I'm going to come over here to my script settings, scroll down to tile, and I'm going to look for my hurt tile, player hurt, recoil. Now, I want to edit this, and I don't even need to understand it. I want to look for where it says reset right here. I got 0 lives left. I reset. I don't want to do that. Instead of resetting, I want to warp to the screen that says you lose. Okay, no problem. I'm going to see exactly the same stuff in the monster hurt stuff. So I'm going to show you that in a second. But what do I actually want to do here? Well, I'm going to navigate to it. I want to do this, and if we've closed this, if it's a different day and you've closed out your scripts, I want to warp to a certain screen. So I can pretty much go back and find my warp tile script, hit edit, and this was how I warped to a screen, remember? So I could just copy this warp to screen stuff, and I'm gonna put a semicolon there so it comments it out, and I'm gonna paste that here. The only thing I have to change though is this warps to wherever the warp out location is. So if I come back to my game, that variable is populated by this number. And that's not what I want to do. If I die, I always know where I want to go. I always want to go to here. Now, how do I find that number? Welcome to hexadecimal numbers. Okay. If you've never dealt with 6 before, if you've never dealt with hex before, it is not a base 10 number system. It is a base 16 number system. What does that mean? Well, in regular math, we have 10 digits before we raise the place value. So you'd go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The next one would be 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, right? So technically, this is screen number 15 in decimal math. This is 16, 17, this is 31 in decimal, and this is 32. Okay, we get the idea. But in hexadecimal math, it actually makes something like this a lot easier, because we have a base 16 number system, which means it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then we raise the next place value to 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, all the way to 1F. Then 2, 0, all the way to 2F. 3, 0, all the way to 3F. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E0, E1. So this screen right here, we always want to go to E1. So if I come over here, instead of warping to whatever variable warp to screen is, I'm going to change this. This argument right here is what screen am I going to warp to? I'm going to hit hashtag $. That lets me know I'm using a hex value E1, because I'm going to go to this screen, which I just figured out. I did all the math. I went 0 to 0F, 1 to 1F, 2 to 2F, 3 to 3F, all the way down to E1. That's that screen. I'm going to save it. So now I should end up whatever screen I am. It doesn't matter what the warp is set to. When I die, it'll go here. And I want to make sure on this screen I'm hiding my sprites. I also want to set it a warp in location, because I don't want him to all of a sudden appear in the corner of the screen. So anywhere will do, set my warp in location. And I want to make sure it's set to win screen. And then I'm going to go to my input editor. And I'm going to say, if I'm on the win screen. Oh, I already did this. I'm sorry. I already said if I'm on the win screen and I press start. I already did this. Never mind. All right. So now let's test it. And now if I die from hitting spikes, it should take me there. It should take me to, so I press start. And now I hit spikes 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And I go to there. And if I press start, boom. It takes me to the beginning of the game again. All right. 1, 2, 3, and there we go. All right, so that generally works. Awesome. What I need to do now is I need to set up what happens if I run into a monster and I die. Now, where I can find that is if I go to my project settings, script settings, that's in this handle player hurt script, which is in common. So I'm going to edit my handle player hurt script. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to scroll down to where it says I've got 0 lives left. I'm going to comment out reset. And I don't need to remember this. I could just go back to my player hurt recoil base this tile, and I could find where I warped to E1, copy that. I'm doing this exact same thing. So I'm just doing pasting it right in the exact same place. So if I've got 0 lives, see if I've got 0 lives, instead of resetting, I'm doing that. If I've got 0 lives, instead of resetting, I'm doing that. I'll save it. And so I can test this, I got to put a monster in the screen. So I'm going to go back to my overworld. I'm going to put a monster in the screen, and I'm just going to run into him 3 times on purpose. And that should do it as far as, let's see, 1, 2, 3. And I go to you lose. Press start. Boom. And we're back and we reset. So there's a couple of graphic things that are happening right there. They're probably a result of some timers that are going on, or some things in the script, or where the camera's facing. Don't stress too much about that. Those are details that we can iron out on the back end, but the basic functionality is working. The last thing that we want to do is we want to make a tile that will take us to the win screen. So we're going to create our own custom tile right now. Let's first of all make a graphic for it. So let's open up our BCKCHR00. And I just want to create, you know what? I'm going to use my door as this tile. So my door is the way out to win, let's say, okay? So that means I'm not even going to make a new tile. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to make this, I'm going to right click on it, modify attribute, and make it walkable. And I'm going to make it a green tile. So now this is nothing. In order to advance to the next level, I'm just going to collect all the diamonds, which is going to take me here. And that's where I'm going to put my door. And the thing about my door is, use this. The thing about my door is that I don't have a tile for win yet. So I guess what I need to do is I'm going to use tile number 6 to make a win tile. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to my script settings, and I could go down and scroll on the tiles, and I can see that tile type number 6 is blank. I do not want to edit my blank tile script. No. Because then everything that's blank is going to be edited to that, and that's going to cause all kinds of chaos. Instead, let me just grab one of the other tiles. I'm going to edit. Okay, now I'm going to be in that folder. So if I make a new file, if I make a new text document, I'm going to put go to the win screen right here. All right, I'm put a comment there. I put a comment and go to the win screen. And I am going to go to that hurt tile that I had open. This is what I'm doing, except I'm not going to go to E1. I'm going to go to E2. So I'm going to copy this. I'll paste it here, warp to E2. And that's going to take me to the very next screen over. What I also want to do is I want to check to see if it was the player that ran into this, because if a monster runs into it, I don't want to do this. Well, I've got that sort of already set up here in my prize base. So if you want, you can open up your tile for your prize if that's not the one you open, and check this out. I'm comparing Xavier to see if it's the player. And if it is, I'm going to keep going. And if not, it's going to jump all the way past to not player. So let me copy this right here. Control C. Paste it before. I'm going to paste it before this stuff. And do this, so just clean up a little bit. Oops. Clean up a little bit. And what I want to do is at the bottom here, I want to say not player. Okay. Now, you notice it didn't color code. That's because right now it doesn't know what kind of file this is. But let's read it through. I'm going to compare Xavier. Xavier currently, when I'm hitting the tile collisions, it's checking to see Xavier's holding on to what object is the thing that's running into other things. So I'm saying, hey, is the thing that's running into other things the player? It is jump to, branch to this label right here. But if it's not, what am I doing? I'm doing this, which means I'm jumping to here. So I'm jumping past it. And this might make it even a little easier to see. So if it is, I'm jumping here. If it's not, I'm going to keep going, which tells me to jump past all this. So I'm not going to warp. So if it's not, it's going to keep going in the script. I'm going to jump past it. It's not. If it is the player, it's going to jump. It's going to branch to here, which is going to do the warp. All right. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to call this win tile. And notice it's putting it in game mod tile, maze base tiles, putting it in a logical spot. The problem is I need to change it from a text file to an assembly language source file. When you do that, look, all your other tile types show up there because they're all that kind of file. I'm going to hit save. Now I've got a win tile. I have to assign it. So come back over here, take tile number 6, look for it. It was in game mod underscore maze base, and it was in tiles. That's where we made it, and we made a win tile right there. And now what we've got to do, go to your overworld, Click on this screen right here. Make it a win screen. Change your tile layouts. Pull up the text tiles and write the words "you win." I'll make them in gold because gold is beautiful. U, Y, O, U, and then W, I, N. And we love our exclamation points. They make us very excited. So let's just add a whole bunch. We only got one if we lose, but we're very excited if we win. There we go. All right. So I want to right click, set warp in location. And then I'm going to go make sure it's on a win screen here. I'm going to go to my, this is already set up where if I'm sorry, if I go to my input editor, if I'm on a win screen and I press start, it'll do a reset, which that's a win screen. My lose and win screen are both set to win screens. So it'll do this either way. And then the last thing I want to do on that screen is I want to hide the sprites. So in screen info, if I haven't already, I'm going to hide the sprites. So the sprites are not shown. And now when I get to that door, it's going to go to this screen, press start, and the game will start over again. So here we go. I have to collect all the diamonds in order to advance. I have to avoid that bad guy. Now I'm in the second screen. I will put this in my last screen of the game. I make the screens get harder and harder. I go here. Oh no. You know what I didn't do? Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I never set that tile. So right now it's still 0. Oops. Right click on it, modify attribute, make it a tile type number 6. Now, I don't like that saying tile type number 6. I wish it said win. Well, let's fix that. So let me go into screen info. I'm sorry. Oops. Let me go into my settings, project settings. I go to my project labels, tile types. It's still called tile type number 6. All I've got to do is change this to say win the game or whatever I want to call it. We did this in the first day. We changed it to solid. No, really solid. This one I'm going to change to win the game. Now I might have to refresh. When I come back, I right click, modify attribute. Look at that. It doesn't say tile type number 6 anymore. It says win the game. Just to make sure. Yep. Let's try that one more time. Sorry about that. Those of you who are still with me, you're troopers. We're over 20 minutes. I apologize, but not too far over 20 minutes. So grab that. Doing a lot today. We're doing some scripting. We're doing some all kinds of stuff. And I go here. Bam, you win. Press the start button. Reset the game. So now officially we have a game. It's a game. It's a real game. It's a full game. You can win. You can lose. There's skill involved. There's randomness involved with as far as which way the monsters are going to move. We could now make a succession of levels. We can make 512 levels minus whatever we need special screens for that you could advance and it could get harder and harder. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be a great game. We don't have enough mechanics in there yet. It's not unique enough yet, but we have a game. You could take this, reskin the graphics, put a couple cool graphics here on the screen, give it some narrative context, and you could have a really, really cool entry for Bite Off and we've only been doing this for 5 days. So we got the rest of the month that we're going to keep cranking. That's super exciting. I hope you guys are as excited. I hope you're moving along. I hope you're getting past my stuttering and my excitement and my enthusiasm. I'm sure you're doing awesome. And I can't wait to see what you are creating. See you tomorrow.